So every mitzvah of Torah is not just telling us something that once upon a time the Jewish people should have done or will do eventually when Mashiach comes. Every single mitzvah is telling us something, how to become better Jews right now. And so in this week's Parshas Kedoshim, we have one particular mitzvah that might not seem so relevant to us. It might seem like a mitzvah that's only relevant back, many, many years ago, and Bez Hashem when Mashiach comes. And that's the mitzvah, the prohibition of Molech. Molech was an Avodah Zarah. It was an idol worship that, God forbid, involved human sacrifice. The Avodah Zarah was that a person would literally sacrifice their own children to this idol. And we have a prohibition in the Parsha under the general umbrella of idolatry of specifically not to serve Molech. Alright, so we're reading that and we're thinking, okay, mark that off the list, that's not my issue. But every mitzvah is telling us something about ourselves and we have the ability to improve in. So what does Molech mean? So the Beis Yaakov explained the following thing. Rabbi Yaakov Ishbitz taught, he said, let's get in the mindset of that person who's sacrificing their own children to that idol. Why would someone do that? How would a person get to that place? And so explains Rabbi Yaakov Ishbitzer the following thing. He says such a person was extremely religious, clearly, extremely devout, and that Avodah Zarah, that idolatry was the following idea, was that in order for a person to come close to God, one must disconnect themselves from their humanity. One must cut ties with everything that brings them down into mundane life. And this idolatry therefore said the one bond that's the most human and the most earthly and the most natural, which keeps a human being tethered to this world and doesn't allow them to float up to God, is the relationship we have with our children. It's that very biological bond is so powerful, so strong, and it keeps us grounded. And that Avodah Zarah was, the ideal is to not be grounded. The ideal is to float away and to become completely spiritual. And therefore the way to come close to that deity was by sacrificing one's own children. And the Torah tells us is that not only is that prohibited, but that's repugnant. It's the opposite of what Yiddishkeit's about. What we learn from that mitzvah is that instead of thinking that becoming spiritual and becoming connected to God demands one disengaging from one's humanity, the prohibition of Molech tells us that it's quite the opposite. What the Rebbeinu Shalom wants of us is to be human and to be earthly and to embrace the relationships we have in this world with our children, with our spouses, with our friends, and so on. But the idea is to deepen those bonds and to uplift and to redefine those bonds and to look at them and to experience them in a way that's profound and religious and bringing God into those relationships. That's the ideal. Never to disengage from them, but rather to deepen those relationships with the appreciation and the realization that Hashem is involved and Hashem wants us to love our children and to embrace life and to fill life with His presence. And therefore, it's specifically this prohibition of Molech which sort of hits the nail on the head of what is Yiddishkeit about. What is the mission statement of Yiddishkeit? The mission statement of Yiddishkeit is not to create a people that are able to float away from earth. The mission statement of Yiddishkeit is to have a people that make this planet and every part of this planet a place that the Rebbeinu Shalom is comfortable to be in. And in order for that to happen, the Rebbeinu Shalom created us in such a way where we have connections with earthly things. And the idea is to deepen those relationships and to inject them with God's presence. That's the idea. And so Hashem should help that we should be able to fully embrace our humanity and to have the strength to deepen that humanity in a way that it's not a contradiction with spirituality. So Hashem should help we should come into Shabbos with Menuchas HaNefesh and Menuchas HaGuf, and both individually and collectively see the redemption of our people. Be Eskol Tzedek, Me'er V'Meinu. Amen.